Here we are in the Michigan post-game live, along with former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian. Well, 10 months ago, one of the high points in Michigan football. Today, I don't know where it ranks, but not one of the high points, probably down there on the other end of the spectrum. 21-7, Michigan falls in Champaign. The broadcast said the fewest points in 10 years. And Michigan falls to 4-3. So, Scar, this was a tough one throughout. A lot of mistakes in this one, but this was kind of the tail of the tape for Michigan season. They turn the ball over a lot, and they don't get very good quarterback play. And that's what happened today.
Just miserable, Denny. Miserable, sad, turnovers. You look at our team. It's like we just didn't get one position right. Is really the big foundational problem of our football team, and that position is so darn important. You just got to get it right. You look at a lot of our offensive linemen, defensive linemen. We got guys that can play. It's just we're just not getting it done at that position.
Yeah, and I don't know what to say about Jack Tuttle. He's lucky he didn't. He had the one interception where he stared down the receiver and he got it. That was going to be. It seemed like the game was going to be over there, but there was a holding call over on the other side of the field, so they got a break there. But his ball security, it looks like he's somebody that hasn't played football in 6 months or a year, or that he's a backup, or the game's too fast for him. And you got to have better play. And some of the people are like, oh, Michigan doesn't have any wide receivers. I don't know. Like you've got to have better play from that position. And having said all of that, here they were after a blocked field goal. I mean, they're sitting there in position where they're just down 13-7 at half. And I don't know what they talked about at the half, but they had a good drive, but then they missed a field goal themselves. But it's kind of the same thing all year long. Too many 3-and-outs, too many turnovers, not very good quarterback play. And now you look at it, I think a lot of people would say all of this after a bye. And you look and you say they don't look like a very well coached team either. So I don't know what to say about them. They're not. They don't look like it, so they're not, right?
Yeah, there's so much in coaching now, Denny, is about getting your personnel right and making those decisions about what you got, what do you have, and sizing up every position group, and then moving forward. And we beat it up, man. We've talked about it. Michigan played in the playoff. Jim decided late. Michigan screwed around waiting for Jim to get the No, okay, so that was last minute. JJ didn't decide till late. But, there were still some quarterbacks after spring ball that if you make the NIL right, you maybe could have got a guy, after spring football. Guys are already committed somewhere if you didn't feel good about your quarterback room. But it didn't happen, and here we are making a lot of mistakes. I thought our defense played, you keep that team to 21, and, with all the turnovers and the field position, you go on the road, and it wasn't terrible, okay? It wasn't terrible. We didn't create turnovers, but, then the fake punt, man, Denny, I don't understand it. I don't understand it because if a team had the ball against my team when I coached near the 50-yard line, they're going to punt the damn football where they want to put it. I'm not going to get a return out of it, so I'm going to play defense there. I'm not going to let them run a fake punt. That's where guys want to run a fake punt, where the field position is decent like that. And Michigan is like, didn't even expect it. I don't understand that. That's coaching, man. That's coaching. What the hell? They're going to, what are you going to get? You're going to get a return there? You're going to have your punt return team on the field there, punting from the 50-yard line? So, anyway, just disappointing, man. And these guys got Michigan State, or it don't get no easier, man.
No, Michigan State's not going to be an easy game. You can't say with the kind of quarterback play that Michigan's getting that they're going to beat Michigan State. So right now that game seems like a toss-up, and then you go through the rest of it. I don't think anybody's – the way Indiana looked today, a lot of people maybe watched them for the first time. They look great. Oregon's undefeated. Ohio State going down there, you know, they're sitting around. They want blood. So you got Northwestern and you got Michigan State. Thing is, when, you know, last year it took so much to win that championship and to get to the mountaintop. When you start spiraling the other way, everything kind of takes on water here. We've already talked about the coaches and the personnel. And then, you know, for Michigan, I gave them the benefit of the doubt when it came to recruiting and NIL, and they're like, hey, this is Michigan. You know, this is how we're operating. This is going to be transformational, and we're only identifying. We're not getting involved too much or how much. I don't even know what they get involved with when it comes down to paying players. I know a lot of people now, it's just I think I don't know if it's a knee jerk, but it's the path to get back is to throw money at this situation and say, Michigan, you should be able to get some resources, and maybe that's going to be it. Like, you know, put together your 20 or 30 million. Is your athletic director, you know, is he going to be leading the charge there? You know, you do need, you need a lot going on here behind the scenes with the coaches. And, you know, that's not even talking about the rest of this season. That's just talking about where the program's sitting. I mean, they got to look at everything and how they do things. And there's got to be some tough calls there, because it's got to be difficult for them because they've had so much success. And I know they you know, think about it, Scar, and talk about, you know, how they're approaching things, and it's the Michigan way, and this is the way we're going to do things. But now that it's fallen apart like this, you know, there's a lot of ideas on how they're going to have to approach things moving forward.
You know, we don't know, Denny, is it just money? Did we have money to go out and get a quarterback, or is it just decisions that the leadership is making?
Yeah, I don't know.
And you mentioned the word, you know, recruiting. You know, again, there are some young high school kids that are committed to Michigan right now, and I guarantee you, they are looking around. They are not feeling comfortable. That's not what they signed up for. Okay, I'm just telling you, there ain't nothing set in stone now with anybody we have committed the way we're playing football. I don't believe it. So we better. You want to talk about leadership? You know, again, I've been beating that up about Jerome Moore. You know, that leadership last year, those games last year, going out there when Jim was coaching all week, and no, this is leadership right now. Okay. Coming back from Illinois with a game like that, you know, you're a 4-3 football team. You got a lot of people looking at you. This is leadership right now. Michigan State around the corner. So yeah, recruiting is we got to, you know, this is, you talk about being tested as a leader. How good is your staff to maintain these relationships with these kids, and saying you got to believe in what we're doing. You got to believe in Jerome Moore. And what we're doing, you know, it's not going to be easy, but that's the sign of leadership, and that's the sign of the kind of staff you brought in that can maintain these relationships.
Yeah, you might already feel like this thing is bottomed out, but if they lose to Michigan State, all hell's going to break loose, and it really is going to feel like they've bottomed out. And so that's what's on tap. That's what's on tap. They got State coming in, and it's just hard, you know, for a team. You know, you mentioned the defense. Sure, there's some things you could go through, penalties in the game, and where they're at, their special teams. You know, you start thinking about the punting, and then, you know, you can't get a snap and a hold on a pretty manageable kick there. You know, none of those phases. But when you don't have any confidence in a quarterback, and you can't move the ball, and you don't have somebody that can really throw a forward pass, you know, the numbers, people, you know, you'll put those numbers out there. You say you're getting hit over the head with them, but I had never heard. I had walked into the kitchen during halftime, and I was listening, and it almost sounded like I had like some wild podcast on, because the whatever, Rick Neuheisel and the other guys, they're all there in the studio, and it sounded like a bunch of dudes like trolling on Michigan. The guy was like, this quarterback can't hit the broad side of the barn. You know, I mean, they're just ripping them to shreds. And And, sometimes you say, the truth hurts when it comes down to the stats, but like Danielson's like, this is the worst third down team in the country. They're 133, and the numbers are just all there, but we see it. I mean, we've watched the game. And so I don't know. How do you put it? Scar, you've been in situations, I don't know if this bad or this kind of a situation, but you just talked about leadership. I mean, what are you going to do? Close ranks, circle the wagons, just talking about one day at a time, one practice at a time?
I was a starter on Bo Schembechler's worst record football team, and we finished the year 6-5. Finished the year 6-6. So I remember going through it as a player. And I remember, the job Bo did and how he handled it. And he hung on to the team, I'll damn sure tell you that. We fought like hell the rest of the year. We weren't, we lost our quarterback, and we played with 2-3. It was similar. We lost Harbaugh, and then we played the rest of the year with 2-3 different guys. And it was a rotating deal there, but he never lost the football team. We fought like hell in every game we played and gave Ohio State a game. And, so those are things we're looking at, man. Is this team going to fight like hell every game and believe? And if he can maintain these recruits, then, that's the real test of leadership. But, I don't know. I don't know what quarterback we're going to see next week, Denny. It kind of sounded like they were locked in on Tuttle, but I don't know. We might go back to Davis Warren. Who knows? I don't know what to. I guess that's the one good thing about where we're at quarterback. The opponent doesn't know who the hell we're going to start because all of them have looked pretty much the same.
The opponent's like, go ahead,
Yeah, which guy are you going to put out there? Who's been the least worst? I don't know.
Well, Scar, I want you to answer your own question. Who are you going to play? Who would you start?
I don't even, I don't know. I'm going to just say something that might be crazy, but I'm almost wondering if there's something going on with is Tuttle's arm totally healed. I don't know. I'm assuming he is that he is totally healed, but watching this kid throw sometimes, I'm wondering if he's still got some issues. I don't know. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the kid. I'm just wondering. But I don't know which way to go, Denny. I still like seeing a little bit of a good orgy package that is inside runs because he doesn't have the speed on the outside. He's dangerous inside. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know either. I wouldn't feel very confident with anybody they put out there. Identical hasn't played. They don't even talk about him. Jaden Davis, a true freshman. And you say, I don't know what he's looked like behind the scenes. And some people say you throw him to the wolves, which I don't know. Like if you think that he would could have performed better.
I don't think you do that because that would be. I don't think you do that. That's kind of like that's telling the rest of the team like you're playing for the future. Instead of, I don't think he's the guy now. I think the other guys are going to give us a better chance. I understand the mentality of it, but I think then the older guys are like, what are you just playing for the future? You don't give a damn about trying to win the rest of these games here?
Well, I think that's one of the key things. Like you've already mentioned, so the quarterback, that's going to be what everybody talks about, losing the team. I think that comes in pretty quickly at number 2. Will Johnson went out. I don't know, ankle injury or anything else, but you could say if you were somebody that was close to Will Johnson, say, hey, make a business decision. You don't need to play any more games. You're going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. Don't, we'll see you. You gave it your all. You won a championship for this team. And there might be some other guys, though, that's, start. So I don't know how they put all that together, but that's something that people are thinking about. Obviously, they're talking about it when you have something like this. They got 4 guys. Colston Loveland's, balling his ass off out there. But he's making some great plays, but wow, I don't know, man. They got to fight and just win one more game. And they got to beat Michigan State. Michigan State's a must win. And you say must win for, I can't, if they would lose that game, Sharon Moore's not going to go anywhere unless you have issues off the field or something. You're not going to remove the head coach after 1 year. as bad as it could be, unless you have some off the field problems. But you can look at all of the other coaches and you can say, well, there can be a lot of replacements there. And then, you start thinking about personnel. I mean, all those things are on the table, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You Michigan State game is so important. It's still hugely important for recruiting. There's some in-state kids that are still out there. There's in-state kids that we have committed that we don't want them to think that the future is brighter in East Lansing. So it's a very important football game from a recruiting standpoint.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, there's not a lot of good things. So we haven't really said anything. This is where it's at. The feedback. G Money's talking about 2 weeks, and they score 7 points. Purdue, I thought they were the worst team of the Big Ten. They almost scored 50 on Illinois. So talking about the quarterbacks, wide open guys, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. I mean, that's it. It's like everyone. You kind of go down the list, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, bang. That's kind of what I'm getting from some of my buddies too. They want to blame the quarterback coach, the offense. You got to blame the head coach, Denny. It starts from the top, man. I don't want to hear about these other guys. That staff, that quarterback room was accepted by the leader. The leader said, "I can win with that." Okay. I don't want to hear about the quarterback coach or the offensive coordinator. I want to know about the guy that said, "We can win with those 3 guys." That's the way we're going into 2024 with an injured Tuttle, a preferred walk-on, and Alex Orji. Okay, I don't think the quarterback coach made that decision. I don't think the offensive coordinator made that decision, or the offensive line coach. The leader made that decision.
Well, the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator are the same guy.
Or whatever the hell they are. The leader is the leader. Hey, let me be clear, so I don't want to sound like I'm just beating up this guy. Because I've been consistent. When people used to rip on Don Brown, I didn't rip on Don Brown. You know who I ripped on? Jim Harbaugh. You know why I ripped on Jim Harbaugh? He hired him. He accepted it. He allowed it to continue. How long are you going to look at that, Jim, before you make a decision? So I don't look at, I'm consistent on how I look at leadership. I think the sun rises and sets. The success of a program rises and sets with the leader, period. I always have and I always will. So I don't want to hear about some assistant coach or some, play calling. That quarterback room was, somebody said that's the way we're going to go into the year.
Well, you're exactly right about that. It's always the leader. He's set and everything, except you go back to this just being his first year. And so you're going to put him on the hot seat. Then you're going to, 1 year and say, no, it was just.
Oh, no, Danny, I'm not saying that. I'm not.
So then you just say, so then you're like, all right, well, Sharon Moore. I mean, that's what anybody, like people that once you watch this game at some point today, it wasn't about like, hey, you're cheering for, of course you're cheering for the guys, you're hoping for them, but your mind, drifts to everything else. And for a lot of it, it's just like, man, what are these coaches? And I think it's the same thing that we talked about really from the opener. How could they have thought that, and you've mentioned it a couple of times, that they thought these were the guys that they were going to be able to go in with and that they were going to give them a shot to win. And it's just hard to.
Danny, it's a huge part of the many talents a leader, a head football coach has to have. Pro, college, you have to be a great evaluator of talent. You got to know what you got. I mean, I could talk about the things Jim did. He had Crippen, but he went out and got Ulu. He still had Crippen, but he went out and got the kid from Stanford. You know what I mean? At center. He liked his tight ends, but he went out and got Barnum from Indiana. You know what I mean? It's like you got to know what you have. He went out and got Josiah Stewart. He knew he had decent edge guys. You know what I mean? But you have to constantly know what's out there. What do I have on my football team, and know how to get them and where they're at and how to reel them in. And you got to hit it, man. You got to be on the ball and that talent and how you build your roster.
Nothing was more, I don't know, microcosm at trying to go for the words here, but Michigan's first possession, maybe you go to they had this good drive of almost 9 minutes where they missed a field goal when they had trouble with a snap and a trouble with the hold. But then you get into where they're going to go for it. First of all, they've got into the fourth quarter. There's a 3rd and 13. It's like, there's no way they're making a 3rd and 13. And then incredibly, they make it. And they get to a situation where it's 4th and 18 and 8:43 to go. I'm like, are they giving up? Why are they going for it? I thought that was ridiculous. And then they made it. They made the longest play of the year. And, I was shocked. I'm sitting there. I was shocked that they went for it. I was shocked that they made a 3rd and 13. I was shocked that they made a 4th and 18. And then what happens is that when Tuttle, the very next play, stared down his receiver and threw it right to Illinois. The only worst pass that he threw was that other interception that got wiped off because of the holding. But what am I going to say? Am I going to sit here all day and say, oh, Tuttle, he's got a long wind up. It looks like the game's too fast for him. He's indecisive. I mean, he can't. They can't start him against Michigan State. It's over for him. It's got to be Orgy or Davis Warren. Tuttle can't go back out there. I can't think that this team, just thinking from a confidence standpoint and who's going to be the best guy, it almost feels like it should be Orgy and they should scrap the passing game altogether. Once in a while, it's basically what they've been doing anyways. You want to try to throw it to Loveland, but just line up and try to play bully ball if you're going to win that game. Maybe they should have done that from game one. I don't know.
Yeah, Danny, I don't know. It's really a tough decision. I don't know which way they're going to go at quarterback. But that touchdown drive that we did have was a beautiful drive for what we have at the quarterback position. It was like a lot of simple passes. We ran the football. We spread it out. That was one good drive. And I'm thinking to myself, that is the kind of drive we need to do with the type of quarterback we have. Easy passes, short passes, enough to make them honor it. Got our run game going, and it was a beautiful drive that ended in the touchdown.
It was. They had.
We did it once. We did that one time.
Right.
Did we? And I would have called that a Tuttle-friendly drive.
Well, except that they came out in the third quarter, Scar, and they had the one that they got the field goal block. That was a good drive too.
Yeah,
they were, they took it right down the field. That was unfortunately after, it was 21-7, but they bounced back and they had a good drive, but then they missed the field goal. That was almost 9-minute drive. That's 72-yard, the one that they did score. So they did put together 2 drives there, but tough decision, for Sharon Moore. Tough spot for Sharon Moore. He's got a lot of money. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I don't give all that up or whatever. But why don't you give us a final thought? We're just spinning around here.
Yeah, that final thought, Denny, is I've been there as a player on what they're dealing with, and it's tough. And the coaches are going to, Bo was all over the place that year. Initially, he was really, really nasty and tough, and it got, and then it got to the point where he realized we had what we had, and he kind of, I don't know if he didn't really soften it up, but he understood what we had as a team. We had quarterback problems, but he kept the team. He kept us together. I think back at that year, 1984, and we fought like hell. All of us did, and it was didn't finish up good. We ended up losing to BYU in the bowl game, but I don't know what's going on in that team meeting. What I don't know what them players are looking at when they look at Sharon Moore and he's addressing them. I don't know what they're thinking deep down inside. What are they looking at? Are they looking at a guy they have faith in, that they believe in? I don't know. And I hope like heck we come out fighting, swinging, and we have a plan on offense and to get something going against Michigan State.
Scar, thanks so much for joining us. It wasn't the kind of game that anybody that is watching this show wanted to see. 21-7, the final. Michigan falls to 4-3, and they do have Michigan State next week. Scar, have a great night. We'll talk.
Danny, go blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. Thanks for watching.